Hello students, today we will be covering a topic from basic electronic devices and circuits, which is a very basic topic. Before we start, please do not forget to subscribe, like and share my channel Abhikalitra AKCCS classes, and all of you welcome to my channel. Today the topics that will be covered are Kirchhoff's current law, Kirchhoff's voltage law, and some practice problems will be given to you for your practice. Now, before we start Kirchhoff's current law, we should actually know that why we actually use Kirchhoff's law. So Kirchhoff's law is used to solve some very complicated electrical circuit. So complicated electrical circuit means that we have multiple EMF sources, or there can be multiple resistors, which cannot be solved by simply applying Ohm's law or by any kind of grouping. So Kirchhoff laws are particularly useful in determining the equivalent resistance of a complicated network of conductors. This particular property will come useful when we will actually solve a circuit using Thevenin's theorem. And the next one is for calculating the current flowing in various conductors. In our today's lecture, we will understand that how Kirchhoff's law can be used or is helpful for calculating the current flowing in various conductors. So while we are telling conductors, we want to mean that the conductors in our case will be only certain voltage sources or certain different resistors. So Kirchhoff's current law is also known as junction rule, or it is also known by node rule, or it is also known by point rule. So now we want to know that what is a junction. So a junction is a point where many wires meet, or a point where distribution of current takes place. So therefore it is known as a node or a point rule, because the point at which many wires meet or the distribution of current takes place can also be called as a node. So now we come to the law itself, the statement of the law. This law is based on the conservation of charge. What is conservation of charge, or law of conservation of charge? It states that electric current is merely the flow of free electrons, and they cannot accumulate at any point in the circuit. So actually this particular Kirchhoff's current law is also therefore known as Kirchhoff current rule, or that's why it is known as junction rule or node rule or point rule, because this is a rule which is based on the law of conservation of charge, right? So what does this law states? The algebraic sum of currents meeting at a junction in an electrical circuit is zero, right? So that means that the charge that flow into a point in a circuit must also flow out, otherwise the charge would build indefinitely. So we will understand this with the help of a diagram. If you see this particular diagram, then this particular circle in between can be assumed as a node or a junction where different wires are coming and meeting at this particular junction, right? So now what to do? So we have to basically understand that this particular junction or node is basically neither a charge source nor a sink. So whatever charge enters this particular point must also leave. So if we consider these wires to be as different current which are coming and meeting at this point from the circuit, from the circuit, and this particular junction is basically a part of that particular circuit, right? So we have to see whether the amount of total current that is entering this particular junction is equal to the amount of current that is leaving the junction. So what we do is that we will label all the current directions or the current wires which are entering or leaving this junction. So over here you can see that all the green lines are the ones which are leaving the junctions, that is I1, I4, I6, right? And all the red lines are the ones which are entering the junction, which are I2, I3 and I5, right? So what to do is that whatever current that is entering this particular junction should be equal to the amount of current which is leaving the junction, right? So for this, what we do is that for this we have to assign a rule. What we do is that we assign a positive value to currents entering this particular branch point or the node point or junction, and the currents which are leaving the junction will be taken as negative value. To see this in a more elaborate way, we will consider an equation, right? So the equation is, since I2, I3 and I5, if you observe closely, I2, I3 and I5 are the three currents which are basically entering the junction, so they are considered to be as positive. I2 positive, I3 positive and I5 positive. Whereas the green wires or the green lines are basically the ones which are leaving the junction, so these are considered to be as negative. See, I1 is negative, I4 is negative and I6 is negative. So the summation of all the currents which are entering the junction and which are leaving the junction should be equal to 0. Or in other words, we can say that the amount of current which is entering the junction is equal to the amount of current which is leaving the junction. So this is what a Kirchhoff's current law is. So with the help of this particular current law, we will take an example and go in an elaborate way of solving the particular circuit using Kirchhoff's current law. So now what we do is that we consider this particular circuit diagram. So in this circuit diagram we see that there are many different voltage sources. The V1, V2, V3 are the three different voltage sources present in our circuit. V1 is having a voltage value of 10 volt, V2 with 30 volt and V3 with 14 volts, 14 volts. So R1, R2, R3 are the three different resistors. R1 is having a value of 1 ohm, R2 is having a value of 2 ohm and R3 is having a value of 2 ohm. So now what we do is that we have to mark all the junction points in this particular circuit diagram, and once we mark the junction points, I will come to each and every junction point and explain the work and the functionality of each junction point. If you observe the circuit diagram, then see I have marked some junction points, right? So now we will try to label these junction points. So see, I have labeled the junction point as A, J, B, and over here see I have labeled it with X, right? So below this particular circuit you see that I have written 0 volt, 0 volt and 0 volt. So I am considering the junction J over here, and with respect to the J I am considering the potential at this particular point is equal to 0 volt. That means it is acting like a reference voltage to me, right? So now to the left of this particular circuit there is no circuit element present in between. So if there is no circuit element present in between, the potential at this particular point will also be 0 volt. And to the right of this particular circuit, with respect to this particular point, to the right of this circuit there is again no circuit element present over here, so the voltage at this particular point will also be 0 volt. Right, now we have to find the potential drop or rise at junction A. For that, if I consider that the current is moving in this direction, then it has basically encountered a voltage source. Now when we actually move in this direction, we see that we are moving from a negative plate to a positive plate. So when we are moving from a negative plate to a positive plate, there will be an increase in the potential. There will be a rise in the potential. So the rise is how much? The rise will be 10 volts. So obviously the voltage or the potential at point A is equal to 10 volts. So if we come to this particular point, now in this particular point, if I move in this direction, then again I have encountered another voltage source, which is this particular voltage source. And again I am moving in the direction from negative plate to positive plate. That means there will be a rise in the voltage, or there will be a rise in the potential, and at junction X or at point X, the potential will be equal to 30 volts, right? And again, in this particular case, here 0 volt, if I move in this direction, then again I encounter a voltage source which is moving from positive to negative plate. So when I'm moving from positive to negative plate, that means there will be a drop in the potential, right? Or there will be a drop in the voltage. So what will be the drop value? The drop value will be equal to minus 14, or the potential at B will be equal to minus 14 volts. So the potential at point A is 10 volts, the potential at point X is 30 volts, the potential at point B is minus 14 volts. Now you know why A, X and B has 10, 30 and minus 14 volts. So we have also marked it in our circuit as well, right? We will consider the voltage at this particular junction to be capital V. See, I have marked it in the circuit diagram as well, right? We have to assume the current direction in our circuit. This is complete assumption. The assumption can be done in any manner. It is not necessary that you have to do in this particular fashion only. The current direction can be assumed in any manner. If I suppose that in this particular loop, the current is moving in this direction, right? Then over here from X to junction J, if I assume that the current is flowing in this direction, that means particular current direction is entering the junction J. This particular current is also entering the junction J. So obviously if both are entering junction J, then the last one has to leave the junction J. Otherwise the Kirchhoff's current law will not be satisfied over here. I have assumed that the current is moving from A to J. So the direction of the current is from A to J, and we have assumed that the current is I1. In this wire from X to V, the current is moving in the direction from X to V, and we have named the current as I2. This is again a complete assumption. You can take anything you want. So if both the current I1 and I2 are entering the junction J, so the current which is present between, or the current that is flowing between J and B, has to leave the junction so as to conserve the law which is known as Kirchhoff's current law or KCL. So that's why the I3 current is leaving the junction J. Okay, so again this entire assumption will be according to your own convenience. This is not necessary that you follow this particular convention always, right? Now we see that there are two different loops, or you can say two different closed circuits. The first one is this one, right? And the second one is this one, right? These are the two different loops. We call these as loops. So in order to calculate the current I1, we need to find the potential difference between A and J divided by resistance. So what is that? So if I need to find the current that is flowing in between these two junctions, then I have to find the potential drop between these 2 points, between A and J, divided by the resistance. Okay, so that is basically V by R. I equal to V by R. So that we have to do for A and J. Similarly, if I need to find out the current between X and J, I need to find the potential drop between X and J divided by this particular resistance, which is R2. And if I need to find the current between J and B, then I need to find the potential drop between these 2 points J and B divided by the resistance R3. So what will be the potential drop? So what will be the potential drop in this particular line or in this particular wire between A to J? So the potential drop can be assumed as, since I have considered the direction of the current is moving from A to J, so current always moves from higher potential to lower potential. So if I tell you that according to the assumption of the current I1, A will be having a higher potential and J will be having a lower potential, because then only current is moving in this direction, because current always moves from higher potential to lower potential. So what we do is that in order to find the current in this particular line, we will subtract 10V minus V. V is the value at this particular junction. We have assumed that V is the value or the voltage. We have assumed that V is the voltage at junction J. So it is 10 minus V divided by 1 for A to J, right? Similarly, for X to V, it will be, again, the direction of the current is from X to V, right? So the higher potential is at X and the lower potential is at point J. So it will be 30 minus V divided by 2. And when we take J and B, then again the direction of the current is moving from J to B. So obviously the potential drop will be calculated as V minus of minus 14, which is V plus 14 divided by 2 ohm, right? That is what we have done. So see, in this particular expression I have done the same thing. So for A to J, this is 10 minus V divided by 1, which is the resistance. Between X to J, this is 30 minus V divided by 2, which is the resistance. And between J and B, this is V minus of minus 14, which is V plus 14 divided by 2. V plus 14 divided by 2. Now the simplest thing that we have to do is that we have to solve the equation and find the solution for V. So obviously if I take the LCM of these two as 2, then it will be 20 minus 2V, that is what we have written here, and this will be 30 minus V, and this, and to the right, and in the RHS we will have V plus 14. And since both the sides have now the LCM as 2, so 2 will be cancelled out from LHS and RHS, right? So over here, see, minus 2V minus V is minus 3V, and if I take this V to LHS or to this side, then I will get it as minus V. So minus 2V minus V, and if I take V to this side, then it becomes minus V. So now it becomes minus 4V. So minus 4V equal to 20 plus 30 is 50. So 14 minus 50 is basically minus 36. So both LHS and RHS will be having a negative sign. So negative sign at both the sign negative sign at both the side will be cancelled out, and we will be left out with 4V equal to 36, right? So then obviously V will be equal to 9. We have got the value of V, which is equal to 9. Then we can easily remove V and we can write 9 volt over here, right? See, I have written 9 volt over here. So now when this is 9 volt, I know the voltage at junction J is 9 volt. Now simply, in order to calculate the current at this particular line, we will substitute the value of V in this equation. In 10 minus V by 1, we will get the current for this particular line, right? So it will be 10 minus 9 divided by 1, which is 10 minus 9 is 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So the current that is flowing between A to J is 1 ampere, right? The current flowing between X to J will then be 30 minus 9, which is basically 21. So 21 divided by 2 is basically 10.5 amperes, right? Over here, if I see, then it will be 9 plus 14, right? 9 plus 14 will give you 23. 23 divided by 2 will give you 11.5 amperes. So we have got the current in all the different resistors which are present in our circuit, which actually solves the problem. So that is what we have written over here. So therefore the current I1 will be equals to 1 ampere, I2 will be equals to 10.5 ampere, and I3 will be equal to 11.5 ampere. This is how we calculate the current in all the different resistance across the circuit. Now we come to Kirchhoff's voltage law. So what is Kirchhoff's voltage law? This law is again based on law of conservation of energy. So law of conservation of energy states that net change in the energy of a charge after completing the closed path is 0. So again, the Kirchhoff voltage law is not basically a law, it is basically a kind of rule, and the rule is basically based on the law of conservation of energy. What does that law state? In any closed electrical circuit or loop, the algebraic sum of all the electromotive forces, which are basically EMFs, and voltage drops in resistor is equal to 0, right? So that means that the algebraic sum of EMFs plus the algebraic sum of voltage drop is equal to 0. Or we can say that the algebraic sum of changes of potential is 0, right? So whatever change in potential that we'll observe in the entire circuit, if I take the summation of all the potential differences that is happening in the entire circuit and add up, then the corresponding value should be equal to 0, right? So Kirchhoff's voltage law is also known as mesh rule, or it is also known as loop rule, right? So for the sign conventions, these are not basically sign conventions, but you can take the help of these rules. So if I consider that while traversing the circuit I encounter a resistor, right, and the direction of the current is from left to right, that is from this side to this side, the direction of the current is moving from this side to this side. So obviously if it is moving in this direction, then we can say that if I consider this point to be as A, and if I consider this point to be as B, then if this is A, this is B, then obviously we can say that the potential at point A is more than the potential at point B, right? There is a potential drop at point B. So if the direction of the current is moving from A to B, and if our moving direction, if the way we are actually traversing the circuit is also in the same direction as that of the current, then there will be a drop in IR. Then there will be a drop of IR. I is what? The current that is flowing between this particular resistance, and R is the resistance value, or the value of the resistance over here, right? So there will be a drop of IR. So that's why we will take it as negative of IR. Now if we take another situation, like again we encounter a resistor in our circuit, and this time the current is also again moving from left to right, from this side to this side, right? This is the direction of the current in the circuit, right? So but our moving direction is basically the opposite as compared to the current direction. So it is to this side, from this side to this side, right? So the current is moving from higher potential to lower potential, but we are moving from a lower potential to a higher potential. So if we are moving from a lower potential to a higher potential, then there will be a rise of IR. So in that case we will consider the value or the sign of IR to be as positive. So that's why this will be taken as plus of IR, right? So now what if we encounter a voltage source? So now if we encounter a voltage source or a EMF, then if the EMF has a positive to negative, right? If the moving direction is from this side to this side, if we are moving from this side to this side of the battery, that is if you are moving from a positive plate to a negative plate, then there will be a drop in the potential. At this particular point. So obviously we are going to take it as minus E, right? So again, if we encounter a EMF or a voltage source or a battery source, whatever you say, take the moving direction from negative plate to positive plates. That is, we are moving from this side to this side, means we are moving from negative plate to the positive plate of the cell or battery. So if you are doing this, then there will be a rise in potential at this particular point, and obviously then we'll consider this to be as plus E, right? So these are the basic sign convention that we will follow in our problem solving of Kirchhoff's voltage law. So now if we consider this particular circuit diagram, over here see, we have labeled each and every junction with a certain name. So the naming can be as per your convention. We have named it as A, B, C, D, E and F, right? So we see that there are three voltage sources, 10 volt, 30 volt and 50 volt, and there are three resistors R1, R2 and R3 with value of 1 ohm, 2 ohm and 2 ohm respectively. So now we will understand what is the basic difference between a loop and a mesh. So a mesh can contain loops within it, but a loop cannot contain a mesh within it. That is the only difference. Okay, so a mesh can contain a loop within it, but the reverse is not true. So if I say that this is a loop, F EBAF. This is a loop, right? This is a loop. And another loop is EDCBE. So EDCBE is another loop. This is a loop. So what is a mesh? I can consider mesh to be as FDCAF, the entire circuit. This is also a closed circuit. So we can consider this to be as a mesh. And in this mesh, there are basically two different loops. So within a loop, you cannot see any mesh, but within a mesh, you can see many different loops. So what we'll do is that we will consider each of the loop one by one, and we will try to form equation out of each loop. Okay, so there are two loops in this circuit that we have already discussed. The first one is FEBAF, and another one is EDCBE. These are the two different loops, and there is one mesh, and that is FDCAF. This is one mesh. FEBAF will also be the direction of our movement while we will consider this particular loop. EDCBE will be the direction of our movement when we'll consider this loop. So these basically define the direction of our movement as well, right? So now we have to find the current through each resistance. So this is the question. We have to find the current in each resistance. How we have to assume some current directions, right? So we'll assume some current direction in the circuit diagram. What will be the assumptions? The assumptions again are as per your own conventions, as per your own wish. Okay, so there is no mandatory rule that you have to follow the same direction what I will be following in my circuit diagram or in this particular circuit diagram, because after we solve for the currents in each resistor, then if the value of the current comes out to be negative, then our assumed direction of current was wrong, and we will correct it accordingly, right? Current directions. So if we see carefully, then the current direction that we have assumed from F to E is from F to E, right? So the current direction between F and E is basically moving from F to E. The current is moving from F to E, and we have labeled it as X, right? Now in this particular wire, we have assumed that the current is moving from D to E, and we have labeled it with Y. Okay. Now if these two currents are entering this junction E, then obviously the current in this wire has to leave the junction in order to maintain the Kirchhoff's current law or KCL. So obviously this current will leave the junction, and if X and Y are meeting at this junction, so obviously the current that is coming out from this junction has to be X plus Y, so that the total summation including the signs would be equal to 0. So now when this X plus Y reaches to this particular point, again the current will move in two different directions. Obviously the current moving in this direction will be X, and in this direction it will be Y. Right, so the current that is moving in this direction is X. So with respect to junction F, X, this current is entering the junction and this one is leaving. So KCL is basically satisfied at this junction, and if I observe at this junction, this current is moving at this junction, is entering at junction D, and Y is leaving the junction D, or you can say Y is entering the junction C and this Y is leaving the junction C. So direction are appropriate as per KCL, right? So now what we do? So now we consider this particular loop FEBAF, right? So the direction of our movement will be also FEBAF. So obviously the direction of movement is in this fashion, right? So now we have to form an equation from this particular loop. So in order to find the equation from this particular loop, now we will start with the junction F, right? So we are moving from junction F to E, right? So F to E. So when we move from F to E, we encounter a voltage source, and if we encounter a voltage source, we see that we are moving from negative plate to a positive plate. That means there will be a rise in potential at point E. So if there is a rise in potential at point E, so this will be the potential at point E will then be 10 volts. This will be positive 10 volts. So now we'll move from E to B, right? So while moving from E to B, first we encounter a resistor. So our moving direction is from E to B, and the current is also moving in the same direction from E to B. So E will be having a higher potential and B will be having a lower potential. That means if you are moving from higher potential to a lower potential, there will be a drop of IR, right? There will be a drop of IR at this particular point. So that means So that means it is basically minus 2 into x plus y. So x plus y is the current IR. I is basically x plus y and R is basically 2. So it's basically negative because we are moving from higher potential to a lower potential. So if you are moving from higher potential to a lower potential, so the sign will be negative, as we already know from the previous slide. So it will be minus 2 times x plus y. So now after we come to this particular point, we now encounter a voltage source. In the voltage source, we see we are moving from a positive to a negative plate. So obviously there will be a drop in potential, and the drop in potential will be minus 30 volt at this particular junction B. So now if we move from B to A, there is no circuit element, so we are clean over here. So now again, when we move from A to F, we see that we have encountered a resistance, and the direction of the current is also in this particular direction. This is the direction, right? X is moving in this direction, that means it will move from A to F, and our direction of movement is also in the same direction. So we are actually moving from a higher potential to a lower potential. So that means there will be a drop in IR. What is I? I is basically X. This X is actually moving through this wire as well. So this is X. So this X is actually moving through this wire as well. So this is basically X, right? So this is X. So this X is the current, and this resistance is 1. So it will be minus X. We reach to point F, that is the point from where we have actually started. So the loop traversal is complete for this particular section, or for this loop 1. The entire equation is now formed completely. So we will see the equation for loop 1. So it's basically 10 minus 2 into x plus y minus 30, because we are moving from positive to negative plate, and then again we are moving again from higher potential to low potential. We are moving from higher potential to lower potential, that means it's minus x, right? So when it is minus x, so now we solve it. So it is basically minus 2 times x minus 2 times y minus 30 minus x. So minus 2x minus x will give you minus 3x, and 10 minus 30 will give you minus 20. So if I take this minus 20 to this side, that will be plus 20. So it will become as minus 3x minus 2y equal to 20, right? So this is equation 1, right? So now we'll take loop 2. We will take this particular loop EDCBE. So this is also our direction of movement. So the direction of movement is EDCBE, right? Start with E junction. When we start with E junction, we try to reach D, and we encounter a voltage source. We are moving from negative plate to a positive plate. That means there will be a rise in potential at point D. So the rise of potential value will be plus 50 over here, right? There will be plus 50. Now when we try to move from D to C, what is the direction of the current? Current direction in this particular wire, will then be this way, right? It is from C to D, obviously. So if it is from C to D, then what is the value, what is the expression that we get over here? Will there be a rise in IR, or will there be a drop in IR? Since we are moving from D to C, and the current direction is moving from C to D, that means with respect to the current direction, C is having a higher potential and D is having a lower potential. That means when we are moving from D to C, we are actually moving from lower potential to a higher potential. That means there will be a rise in IR. So that means we will take the sign as plus IR. So if we want to see the value of I, we have already considered this I to be as Y. So this current is basically Y, which is flowing from this side and coming to this side, right? So this is the Y current, and the resistance is basically 2. So this will be 2 times of Y, right? This will be 2 times of Y in this particular wire. And when now we move from C to B, we see there is no circuit element. So we move this particular point B. So now when we reach B, when we try to move from B to E, we see that first we encounter a voltage source which is again moving from negative to positive plate. That means there will be a rise in potential, and the rise in potential is basically 30 volts. So it will be plus 30 at this particular point. So while we are moving from this point to E, we have encountered a resistor. The direction of the current is from E to B, and we are moving from B to E. So obviously that means there will be a rise in IR. So what is I? The value of I is x plus y, and the resistance value is 2. Since we are moving from a lower potential to a higher potential with respect to this particular current direction, what we have assumed, so the expression for this particular the expression will be 2 into 2 times x plus y, right? So now we'll see the expression for this loop 2. So this is 50, right? So this is a rise in potential. Now over here in this line, we see that we are moving from lower to higher potential. That means it will be 2 times y, see 2 times y. Then we come to this battery voltage. We are moving from negative to positive. There will be a rise. That means the rise is positive. That is 30 volts plus 30. And we are moving in opposite to the direction of the current. That means we are moving from lower potential to higher potential, which is a rise of IR. That means it's plus of 2 times x plus y. So now we try to solve. So it's basically 2x and 2y, and 2y will give you 4y, and 50 plus 30 is 80. If I take 80 to the right hand side, then it will be minus 80. So if I take 2 common, if I divide by 2 from both the sides, then this will be x plus 2y equal to minus 14. Now from these two equations, we have to solve for x and y. So obviously from this two equation, you can easily see that this is minus 2y and this is plus 2y. So if I add these two equations, then obviously this y will be cancelled out. The y term will be totally cancelled, and we will be left with x term, and we can easily find the value of x. So we need to add these two equation 1 and 2, and what we get is minus 3x minus 2y equal to 20, and x plus 2y equal to minus 40. So we try to calculate. So 2y minus 2y and plus 2y will be cancelled out, and after that minus 2x equal to minus 20. So x will be equal to 10 ampere. So x is 10 ampere. So the current that is flowing from F2 is basically 10 ampere. So if this is positive, that means the direction that we have assumed is also correct. If this happens to be negative, then we have to change the direction, or we have to reverse the direction that we have assumed, right? So now we'll go with now we will find the value of y. So if I substitute the value of x in equation 1, if I substitute the value of x, I will see the value of y equal to minus 25. You can pause the video over here and solve for the value of y. You will get it minus 25. See, the value is minus 25. That means it should have been positive if the direction of the current that we have assumed was correct also. But in this case, the current is but in this case the value is negative. That means the direction of the current that we have assumed was wrong, and we have to change the direction. That is, the direction that was assumed previously was D to E, but at the actual direction after solving for y is basically E to D, right? So we'll change the direction, right? So the direction is now changed. Observe the circuit diagram, E to D. So the direction is changed from E to D, right? Now we have to solve for this particular value. So again, if I see this particular value, I know the value of x, I know the value of y. If I put x as 10 and y as minus 25, then I will get minus 15. So minus 15 means that the direction of the current that we have assumed is wrong. So if this is wrong, that means the direction of the current is not from E to B, it will be from B to E. So this is one way of solving it. There is another way of solving x plus y as well that we are going to see. So now to find the last current, we apply KCL at point E. So see carefully, if the value of y is 25 ampere, right, which is leaving the junction, and the value of x is 10. So if this is leaving the junction with value 25 and this is x is entering the junction with value 10 ampere, then obviously this particular current has to enter the junction with value 15. Otherwise 10 plus 15 will not be equal to 25, and 25 minus 25 will not be equal to 0. So this particular current cannot leave the junction, because if it leaves the junction, then we actually violate the KCL. So that is what we have said, that if x is entering with 10 ampere and y is leaving with 25 ampere, then x plus y should be entering the junction E, because if it doesn't enter the junction E, if it leaves, then KCL law will be actually disobeyed, right? So the summation of all the currents at point E will then be equal to 0 if this particular current is not leaving but entering the junction. So what we do is that we assume that x plus y is equal to z, and then we can say that x plus z, x is entering the junction, then z is also entering the junction. So x plus z are both positive in nature. X plus z minus y will then be equal to 0. So now what we do is that we will put x equal to 10. We don't know the value of z, and over here the current that is flowing out and the current that is leaving the junction, which is leaving the junction over here, has a value of 25 ampere. Now we are taking the current, value of current 25 ampere, right? So please do not confuse with the value of y, because the value of y is minus 25. But what we are doing is that we are taking the help of the current. Now we are taking the current itself. We are not assuming the value of y. Since value of y equal to minus 25 means we have corrected our direction. That is, we have corrected our direction from D to E to E to D, right? So now the value of the current over here will be 25 amperes, not minus 25 amperes, right? So it will be 25 amperes. So that's why we have put equal to 25, right? So these two are basically entering the junction, so these are positive in nature, and this one is leaving the junction. So the amount of current entering the junction is equal to the amount of current leaving the junction. So if we solve for z will be equals to 15 ampere, which is positive with respect to the currents. So the current direction has to be changed. So what we do is that instead of going from E to B, we'll now go from B to E, right? So now it is B to E, and the current value is 15 ampere, right? So the value of x, y, z are basically after we solve the equations, and it will be helping us to understand whether the direction of current that we have assumed is basically right or wrong. Do not get confused with 25 and the value of y. This 25 is the current that is flowing now in this wire, right, after correcting the direction. So I hope you will not confuse 25 with y equal to minus 25, right? We have solved the entire problem using Kirchhoff's voltage law. There's one direction that has to be changed, and that is y is moving in this direction. It is coming now in this direction, right? So this is not there. So y is moving in this direction, and now it is coming in this direction, and it will be going in this direction, right? Okay, so we are going to change this direction as well. So now it completes. So now y is moving in this direction, coming down from this resistor and going in this direction, again going back to this direction. So this is how we find the current through each conductor using Kirchhoff's voltage law. I hope you have understood this example, and now we'll move on to some practice problems, which I will leave it for you as a practice session, right? So the first problem is calculate the current in different branches. Observe this particular circuit diagram. You have to solve the current in different branches using Kirchhoff's laws. Okay. Another problem, find the current in 10 ohm resistor and the value of V1, right? What is V1? V1 is over here, right? This is V1. And also find the source voltage Vs. Vs is basically the voltage in between over here. This is Vs. Vs is equal to, I have given the hint as Vs is equal to Va minus Vb. This is Va minus Vb. You have to find the voltage source as well using Kirchhoff law. These are the two different problems. I leave it for you as an exercise. Please let me know if you have successfully solved these two problems using Kirchhoff law or not. If not, then please comment in the comment section, and I will prepare a video for solving these two problems using Kirchhoff law. Thank you for today.